Buffalo in the playoffs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Puckin Leafs Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Cioffs. I'm here with my partner in crime, Coach Frank, who is down in his palatial estates down in Florida. Frankie, I hope you're enjoying the weather down there, because up here, all I can say is winter has arrived, it seems like.
Yeah, we got fortunate. We got lucky with some of the weather going into late November. I can't remember last time I golfed into late November, which is crazy to think. But yeah, I am on location this week, but nothing.
Scouting trip. You're scouting the Lightning and
yes,
the Panthers.
I'm scouting, yes. But nothing stops me from getting another episode out, because the world doesn't stop for us, and we got to keep up with our Leafs. What happened this weekend. So I'm ready to do this in shorts and flip-flops in middle of November, so let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Well, let's recap the weekend. I guess the biggest story of the weekend was seeing Borje Salming coming back to Toronto and being honored Friday night during the Hall of Fame game against the Penguins, and then having his own personal tribute dedicated to him on Saturday night. It's so tough to see him like that, a legend of this team, the best defenseman that has ever played for the Maple Leafs. He was such a strong player and so fierce, and to see what this disease has kind of done to him already, it's so sad to see.
Yeah, I've seen it firsthand, to family, to friends, and it's funny. We always see these guys as superheroes, as larger than life personalities, but this is such a disease that just it hits you a different way. And it's funny. Whenever you saw Borje Salming come back to Toronto, whether it be for the outdoor game or alumni game or something like that, the guy still looked like he could play. He was always in such great shape. He always kept himself in like incredible shape. And say, you know what, that guy can still go. And to see it just. It really is no words. And we always talk about presentations, and like nobody does it better than Montreal Canadiens. I thought the Leafs did a really good job with the presentation they did for Salming on Saturday night. So credit to them. It was emotional, but the clips and the passages and the nice words from the teammates, that was really nice. So credit to the Leafs organizations for doing Salming, doing him justice with that tribute.
And I loved Sheldon Keefe's little way of paying tribute to him by starting all of the Leafs Swedish players. I thought that was really awesome, because he was the first, right? And now the league is full of them. He kind of paved the way for Swedish players. And now the Leafs have 6 currently right now. So they all got into the starting lineup. I thought that was really good. And even calling in Nylander and Oliver Ekman-Larsson to do the ceremonial face-off, as opposed to getting the captains together, which would have been 2 Canadians. I thought it was very, very well done. So credit to the team there. Now, in terms of the Leafs play this weekend in front of Borje, I'd say it was okay. Just okay. The good old Randy Carlyle. Okay. On Friday night, difficult opponent. The Penguins were in town, and having just broken their own losing streak, we're looking to get another one, and they did get it. I thought it was a pretty even game. Up to that third period, I thought the Leafs were the better team. And then Pittsburgh gets a lucky one, which I think Källgren would have loved to have back. And after that, though, I'll give the Penguins credit. They locked it down. I think the Leafs only had 4 third-period shots after that. So full marks to the Penguins for locking it down that game.
Mike Sullivan's known for that. He's a good coach, man. And he gets them to buy into a certain way of playing. And listen, you look at their centermen down the middle, Crosby, Malkin, Carter. It's still a pretty formidable 3 lines. I know probably would have looked a lot better about 10 years ago, but they get the job done, and their wingers are nothing really to get excited about, and their defense is still, Letang and the other guys, but they get it done. They buy into a system. And,
I like that. It truly is, yeah. Letang and the other guys.
And that it goes to show just how competitive they are year after year after year. And then, like I said, they buy into that system, and it's pretty cool to see.
The Leafs will get another shot at the Pens this week as they travel to Pittsburgh for their game on Tuesday. On Saturday night, I tweeted before the game after that amazing tribute to Borja. I'm like, if these guys don't win this game after that, I'm going to be like so disappointed. I think I chose some stronger words other than that. And it didn't look good to start. They were down 2-0 after the first period. So I thought they actually came out of the game well. They had a couple of really good first shifts, created some really good chances, and Spencer Martin, the goalie for the Canucks, stood on his head, made some really key saves, and then all of a sudden, you've got a deflection goal and then a power play goal in which Shalgren had no chance on either of them. And now you're on your heels. You're down 2-0. You feel like you deserve better, and it's like they couldn't get out of their own head, and the Canucks just really took it to them the rest of that first period. I kind of felt at that point, if they could just get to the intermission down only 2, they'd have a great shot. And then, funny enough, the Sportsnet bets people showed the odds of the Leafs. The Leafs were plus 230 to come back and win that game. I'm like, I didn't mind how they played, how they came out of that game. I'm going to throw some money at that, and it worked out for me. And apparently you as well. So
I did. If you looked in our chat, group, I said that, and I know we use different sites, but. Canucks are known for blowing 2-goal leads this year.
Good and they're not a very good team at all.
And the Leafs came out with 3 goals in the second. So whatever they said in the intermission must have worked. So that was great to see. I will say this though, it's becoming more and more of a concern for me because it's going to happen when it means the most. And I'm talking about playoff games. Assuming they get there, the starts are so important. And not just the starts, staving off any type of burst from other teams. But if you got those chances early, it'd be nice to see them score in the first minute or first 2 minutes on a breakaway or 2-on-1 or something like that. It just seems they're back on their heels. It's a brain cramp, and another one of the players gets behind the Leaf defense on a breakaway. I don't know, man. I don't know whether I'm pinning that on Keefe, on who he puts out there. Like, it's happening more and more, and it's very scary. Like, I could see a pivotal Game 6 in Boston, and sure enough, Marchand gets behind the D 2 minutes in and scores. It's like I over and over in my head I see that. And it's very scary. I don't know how they're going to clean that up, but it's a really big problem.
I think it would be nice, like you said, to score on those early chances. What's frustrating for me thus far is their inability to capitalize on chances. Like this is a team that should be scoring a lot more, especially at 5-on-5, and they're not doing it. We're going to delve deeper into that possible reasons why that might be.
Yeah. How about this to add to what you're saying? Can they just hit the net, shoot for a rebound at least? How many times have we seen Nylander or Tavares or
Matthews
or Matthews? They're in a good shooting position. You're supposed to shoot for rebound, shoot far leg for the goalie to kick it into the hash marks or something. All I'm hearing is glass and boards, and sure enough, you're starting the rush back for the other team because the defenseman can't keep it in. It's like, hit the net, guys. And I think that's a big contributing factor and why their shooting percentage is so low. But I'll leave that to you. But it's just something that really, really getting to me.
It always seems like the other teams always block the Leaf shots. For some, like our defensemen have a real difficult time getting pucks through to the net. So I noticed at home especially, they're shooting wide on purpose. And hoping that the puck bounces off the end boards, comes out in front, and they can make a play. Yeah, it's quite frustrating. I don't know. And then other teams seem to just get the puck through all the time on us. Like that goal, the second Canucks goal. There was an angle that they showed of that. I think it was Besser who scored that goal. No, it was Miller. Sorry, JT Miller scored, and it was like, you couldn't even see the goalie. You couldn't even see the net, and somehow the puck got through. But nonetheless, the Leafs were able to come back come up with a big win. So it was good to see that they dominated in the third period. The game should have been out of hand. They should have scored at least 5 goals, 6 goals in that game. But again, at least they pulled it out and got the win. So quickly, let's get to our.
Hold on, but before you go that, we also missed one other thing. They should have taken at least they should have taken the 2 points from Vegas. That was a lead because they also did play on Tuesday.
That's right.
And the thing with that, what bothered me about that was a shorthanded goal. A shorthanded goal that was just an awful, like, you can't even fault Nylander for trying to keep the thing in, because if he let it go, it wouldn't have happened. But you want the guy to try to do his best to keep the puck in. And sure enough, bad balance, and it goes back the other way. But again, that's a lead that they have to have, that they got to keep against a team on the road. Yeah, they got the point, but sure enough, what happens again? Brain cramp. It's in the back of your net in overtime. And
they've struggled in overtime.
Big time.
Especially the Matthews, Marner, Riley.
Yes.
Threesome has, I believe they're 1-8 in overtime the last couple games. Like it just hasn't worked. And I know the Leafs have an analytical staff that probably looks at those things. Maybe you give them another defenseman that's not as high risk, that can defend a 2-on-1 a little bit better, because those are sure to happen at 3-on-3. I don't know, something to look at for the team. So let's get to the good, the bad, and the Leafy this past week. So the good, what do you have?
Well, there was a lot of the good, which was nice to see. I don't know. I guess we're going to talk about the most glaring thing. I find it good. Some people might think it's bad, but something that we've been just pounding our heads on the table for years, not even weeks, months, years. And it's paid dividends. And let's talk about the split, the breakup. The bromance is over. For now. And that's Keith finally. And I'll tell you why I like the split. And we're talking about Matthews and Marner. I'll tell you why I like the split, because Keith did it during another game, but he started the game with the split against Vancouver, which was nice. So he didn't make the adjustment all day. He stuck with it for pretty much the whole game, which was good to see too, because you have to see Nylander and Matthews try to create some chemistry. You got to have Marner and Tavares create some chemistry. And the only way you do that is just keep put them out there and let them play. I wasn't crazy about Kerfoot on the left-hand side, but I'm not. That's not a hill I'm ready to die on. Like, who else are you going to put on that side? But I wouldn't have mind seeing Robertson with Matthews and Nylander. But I guess Bunting will fill in fine. Which for me, Bunting has been the most underwhelming Leaf to date so far. But I'll leave that one for another time. Listen, any fan of a team with like 3 lines going. And technically, I would even say the Malgin, Aston Reese, Kampf is their third line. They've been able to generate some type of offense you're looking for. They can check pretty well. They played pretty good defensively in their own zone. So, you'd like to see an upgrade there at some point. And looking at the practice lines today, actually just before I got on my flight, it looked like there's going to be some changes, but they kept that line intact, which was great to see, right? So back to Matthews and Marner, this is what you want. You want Tavares to keep going, and Marner was probably the perfect guy to do that, because Tavares is a shooter. The guy likes to shoot. No better than him with that hot stick than Marner getting him the puck. But Nylander has an underrated part to his game that I don't think he gets a lot of credit for. He passes the puck really well. I think very well. And I think with his with his creativity and the way he started the year, having him with Matthews, listen, Matthews can play with you and I on his wing. I'm sure he'll do fine. Maybe not as good as with Nylander, but I'm sure he'll do fine. But it just opens up so many other possibilities. You know why, Joe? Because Nylander's also a shooter. So you got to respect Nylander's shot. You also got to respect Matthews' shot. So now you have 2 dual threats on the ice at that same time. So I hope they keep going with it, because you can always go back to Marner's and Matthew, which is I like. And exactly. You make it difficult for the other team to match up their lines against the Leafs.
And this is what Babcock always said. I remember the quote when, he would always get asked by the media, like, why don't you ever try Matthews and Marner together? I think his quote was something along the lines of, here's the thing. I know you guys want to see it, but I like to win games. I like to win. So it was almost like his thinking was their best chance at winning was to keep them separated and dominate their own lines. But obviously, Matthews and Marner work very well together, like you said. And you can go back to it at any time, but let's try something else different. So if it doesn't work in the playoffs like it did against the Habs a couple of years ago, then you've seen something else and something else works. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like that choice from you in terms of the good. For the good for me, I'll take it as they faced adversity on Saturday night. A lot of people were upset with that first period being down 2-0 against another team that shouldn't even be on the same ice pad as them, quite frankly. And they were able to totally change the game around and come back and win that game. So kudos to them. The bad. What do you got for the bad?
Probably, I'll let you go first.
Well, the bad, I'm sticking with the usage of Nick Robertson. It's puzzling to me how they're playing him on the third line, which has been their least effective line thus far. This is a kid that needs to play with skilled players. Like, I don't understand. Just give him a run of 10 games with one of those top two lines and let him build some chemistry. And then at that point, if he still hasn't made progression in his game, because I'll admit it, he's been invisible some games. He has been, and he needs to be more consistent. But let's set him up for success and let's put him in a spot where he can succeed. And after 10 games, if it's still not happening, then maybe you drop him, further down the lineup, or you send him back down to the Marlies for some more seasoning. It's not the end of the world if you need to do that. But the kid needs to play. Apparently, he's not going to be in the lineup against the Penguins on Tuesday. So this yo-yoing back and forth in and out of the lineup does the kid no good. It serves no purpose.
You don't do that with a 22, 23 year old. You're right. He's got to play, but also playing him on the fourth line really doesn't do much either, right? So,
no.
But at what point do we say it's on him too, right?
Of course it is. Yes.
He's been given chances. Now we can look back and say, okay, well, Robertson's been playing with Tavares and Nylander, or now it's Tavares and actually they had him. Then they had him down with Engvall and Yarncroc, which what do you expect from the guy? Right. But at some point it's going to be on him. They're looking for him to add some offense to it. And soon enough, there might be a kid out of Minnesota, University of Minnesota, that makes his way into this roster. And Robertson's going to be an afterthought, so really time is not on his side. So yeah, that's a pretty good one, Joe. And they actually called up Pontus Holmberg again, so he'll be in the lineup.
You're his number one fan, Frankie. So
he'll be centering the third line with or fourth line, whatever you want to call it, with Engvall and Yarncroc, the Swede line. So that'd be interesting. Nice to see him get another crack at it. The bad for me, Joe, it's not really something that they can help, but it's something that they're going to have to play with, and it's the depth that they have in terms of these injuries. They're getting ravaged by injuries now. Hearing today that TJ Brodie now is going to be out 2 weeks with an oblique injury, which you're hoping it doesn't get worse, because if they bring him back too early, he can re-injure it. So it's similar to what Tavares' injury was in the start of training camp, but he's a big hole back there.
Yeah,
he is your safety net, man. That's the type of guy where Riley will always get caught, and Brodie's right there. He's the big safety net underneath the when you go to the circus and you see, just in case they don't fall off the line there's the net. Well, that's TJ Brodie. So they called up Mac Hollowell. He's been in the in the system for a while. Nice to see him get a shot, but he's more of an offensive defenseman, kind of like another Rasmus Sandin type of. But nice to see him get a shot. But still, now you're missing Brodie. You're going to be missing. We already know Muzzin's going to be out, but he pretty much confirmed he's most likely done for the season.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the goaltending, which we'll get to in a minute. I made a comment to you that this is Kyle Dubas's. This is his time. This is his his Anthopoulos year, if we can call it. Kyle Dubas, to me, is the most dangerous individual in this organization right now. And you can take that any way you want. To me, that means here's a guy who's sitting in this chair saying, I'm going with this roster, ride or die. This is the roster that I've built. This is the roster that I've stayed behind. So if that's the case and I don't have a contract into next year, that means I'm gonna empty the cupboards. I'm gonna look for deals and use my picks and use my prospects to get this team over the hump. I think he needs to do it at this point. If I'm sitting in his seat and I don't think, if they lose, I'm not coming back, let the next GM deal with it. It's not gonna be my problem anymore, right? So is there a R.A. Dickey for Noah Syndergaard move out there? Is there a Jose Reyes for Troy Tulowitzki move out there?
I think it would be more in the line of like the David Price acquisition, because that was like a deadline,
exactly.
right?
No, exactly. But exactly it, Joe. It's time, and there's no more excuses in terms of cap space because you're going to get 5 and change of Muzzin's AAV on. You have money to play with now.
Yeah.
You can add a substantial, I don't know who that guy is, but you can probably add a substantial top 4 defenseman to this team, or a couple pieces. Maybe it's a top 6 forward and a top, a second or third pairing defenseman, some depth back there. It's going to be interesting, but nobody's untouchable unless your name is Auston Matthews, even though we know guys like Marner are not going to be dealt, but nobody is. I'll even say Matthew Nyes is going to be up for grabs here. It depends how big and how much they want to swing. And I know you and I were going back and forth talking about names. I know you want a winger. I want a centerman because I think they desperately need a third line centerman. So let's see what happens. But that's why I think they don't have the depth right on the Marlies, on the defense, on the goaltending. I just hope they don't go into a losing streak because they don't have the bodies behind it, to get over these injuries. So that's what I'm going to go with. And I'm hoping it hits rather sooner rather than later. Don't wait for the trade deadline. Make the moves when you can.
I think it's his comments today in the media were that he's taking it as a positive that this team is, their record, okay, it's not great, but they've actually done pretty well despite the fact that, they've had to run their 4th string goalie out for half of their games and they're missing a key defenseman in Muzzin. Now they're missing Brody. So I understand his positive spin on that. I agree with you, man. This is, if not now, when? Like, make the moves, go for it, take your swing. And if it doesn't work out, then, like you said, it'll be the next guy's problem. So I think this is his Anthopoulos here. I think he will swing big. But what he swings for, I think we save that for another episode because we got to do an.
Okay, I was gonna say
I have an idea. We could do like a Santa's wish list during Christmas.
Yes.
I think we'll save it for that.
I'll save it. All
right, and the Leafy.
Yeah, the Leafy is gonna go around my same topic there. I don't think I've ever seen a back-to-back home schedule and the goalie gets both games. And I don't understand. You have it, we talk about the Leafs goaltending situation and they're the lack of depth and quality, and they know we have a bunch of guys. And how do you know what you have if you don't let them play? You're talking to a guy. Listen, I'm not saying Keith Petruzzelli is the next coming of JSO Ben and throws in 12 straight wins in a Leaf uniform, or is a Vezina winner. But the kid has started 6-0 with the Marlies. What more do you? And the Marlies are not good. Like they're an okay team. They're not world beaters. But he's 6-0 with the Marlies.
And his numbers are really good.
What more would you want from this guy in a logjam of a position now of prospects and free agents and goalies that we've signed out of college? You don't know. That game, if Shalgren would have lost that game, that would have looked so bad on Keith. Because it would have been a what if, right? Why? A lot of questions. Why didn't you start him? But what more does this kid have to do, to to prove himself. I could just see this guy getting dealt and becoming a starting goalie for a team for the next 15 years, and that would be the most leafiest thing we've seen. So I don't know. I didn't get the move. They're lucky it worked out, but it almost didn't. And I just thought that was just so leafy.
For me, this isn't so much for this past week, but this season, I feel like the Leafs have played a ton of backup goalies.
Yeah,
they've been rather fortunate in that sense, but all of these backup goalies, it seems like they're having their best night of the season against the Leafs.
As soon as the commentator said Oakville's own
Spencer Martin,
I'm like, oh, okay, here we go.
Here we go. And you thought after that
42 save shutout. Yeah. Oh man, that's funny.
So let's talk a little bit about the offense. You were bang on at the beginning of the season saying that you felt that they were going to struggle to score, and that's the way it's worked out thus far. We could talk a lot about Källgren and his play. I think he's been more than capable and has played very well. Well, not very well. He's played well enough for them to get the job done, but I don't think they've scored more than 3 goals for the guy. He's not getting enough run support.
Yeah.
And the Leafs are just not scoring enough 5-on-5 goals. And I just want to refer to Kevin Papetti from The Athletic had a really good article. He was trying to answer, like, why is this happening? What's going on with this team? Why aren't they scoring at 5-on-5? So a couple things that I want to highlight out of that article that could potentially describe why this is happening. Currently, Toronto is scoring about 53% of the 5-on-5 goals in their games. Okay, this is very similar to last season. However, they're getting to that number completely different way, where they're second in goals against per 60 minutes, and they're 25th in goals for per 60 minutes. So like opposite ends of the spectrum here. In terms of generating chances, they're generating chances rather comparably to last season, but last season they generated a little bit more. Last season they were generating about 2.87 expected goals per game, which is good enough for third in the league. And now they're at about 2.71, which is midway point of the league, 16th in the league. Okay. Here's the biggest drop, though, is their shooting percentage. They're currently shooting 7.2%, which is good enough for 26th in the league. In the Matthews-Marner era, the Leafs have never been worse than 10th in the league in shooting percentage. Matthews himself, the greatest 5-on-5 goal scorer since he's come in the league, his shooting percentage this season is down 10.5% from his career average. And he's not the only one that's way down. Kerfoot is way down. Nylander is down. Tavares is slightly down. Bunting is way down from last season. So I ask you, in terms of you just watching the game, and let's try to match the eye test with the analytical part here. Do you think it's just a matter of the shooting percentage is just way low and they got to bring that up? Or is it something they're doing stylistically or something like that they're just not doing enough of to get these goals?
One observation I've made, and I look at a guy like Nylander, and I don't have stats in front of me. This is just from what I remember. They scored, and I say Nylander because he was probably the poster boy for this. They scored a lot of goals last year in the danger zone or in the house of what we used to call, or what we still call, right in front of the net, 10 feet out, rebounds, in the bumper position, essentially, shots from that area. They've gone back to being more of a perimeter team, which we all know is not going to work. You know, they're taking shots from outside, not the best of angles, and for a team that doesn't crash the net a lot or get guys in front of the net, how do you expect to score from there? So what are you seeing, Joe? You're seeing guys trying to go top corner off their off wing, and we talked about it. It'll go high, rim around the glass, and back out the other way. 2-on-1s, again, they're trying to go top corner instead of shooting efficiently, taking shots on the net. Another one. What have we seen from the point? When's the last time you saw slap shots from the point, Joe? We're seeing the old Riley muffin again, trying to get it through, and it's just not getting through. Like, they're not making efficient plays to get the puck to the net. They're capable of getting those greasy goals, but that's just not their style. But we all know their style doesn't work. It doesn't work in the playoffs. It'll work periodically in the regular season, but this is what you're talking about. Scares me, because if they can't score like this, you just expect them to switch, flip the switch and start scoring goals from five feet out. You know what I mean? It's. I don't want to say they're going to struggle to score goals, but you can tell it hasn't been as easy as it has been last year. And another thing I'll say too, where have you noticed they haven't scored a lot of other than 5-on-5? Power play's been okay. They got 13 goals on the penalty kill last year. And those goals, Joe, when they were scored, they were game changers.
Yep.
You remove half of those from this equation, that's going to hurt. That's going to really hurt. They don't have that threat.
How could you bank on scoring 13 shorthanded goals in a season again? There's going to be some regression there. And I think the shooting percentage will regress.
Yeah.
They're going to score more goals. But here's the thing. Their goals against is likely to regress as well.
Yes.
And they're going to start allowing more goals.
I'm glad you said that, because one observation I wanted to make about the Canucks and the Penguin games, maybe in total, maybe this Leaf defense core isn't as bad as we think it is.
Yeah.
Because they're not giving up a lot of high danger chances as much as people think they are. And I got to be honest, like even the Penguins game, I really didn't see them giving the Penguins a lot. So I think as a whole, maybe they're doing a pretty good job. And look no further than our friend Jack Campbell in Edmonton. That is a team that plays similar then to Toronto, where they just outscore their problems. Because
their defense is not even close to as good as Toronto's.
No.
Not even. And Jack is finding that out right now.
But McDavid and Draisaitl have showed up since game.
Absolutely, yeah.
Marner and Matthews haven't. So what I'm trying to get at is, the whole defensive makeup of this team maybe isn't as bad. So you're right. The goals against, there could be a regression there.
What I'm noticing about their defensive coverage, when they're in the zone, their defensive coverage is good. They're good at breaking the cycle. They're good at getting the puck back and getting the puck out. They're struggling at their neutral zone turnovers and turnovers awful. in the offensive. As soon as they cross the offensive blue line, it's getting turned over and gone the other way. And this is where their lack of speed comes into play.
Yeah.
When you play a fast team like Vegas, they're all about that counterattack, create that turnover and counterattack, and they've really struggled with teams like
Big
that.
Time struggle.
Yeah.
And listen, first thing I ever learned about coaching when we were coaching high level, guy used to tell me, the game is not just when you think the game is won in the offensive zone or defensive zone, it's won in the neutral zone. If you can control the neutral zone, you will win most of the time. Because when you control the neutral zone, you're controlling puck possession and you're going one way. And you're not making turnovers in the neutral zone, you're controlling the play, you'll win the game. So they definitely got to clean that up big time.
The game against the Penguins, they had just tied the game, and there was a turnover in the neutral zone. The Penguins came the other way and almost scored, and Keefe just lost his mind because it was happening too often. So that's something I think they need to work on, and that's why I think I would like to see them add a little bit more speed on the back end and at forward as well.
Well, they could use a guy like Ilya Mikheyev. Oh, that's right. I forgot.
not at 4.5 million though.
No.
No.
I think the Canucks are regretting that one too.
Yeah, quite possibly. Matthews and Marner, just before we go, let's touch upon them. I don't think they've been bad. They're putting up points. Okay?
No,
but here's the thing.
They're not.
They've created a standard for themselves in which they are a few of the best hockey players in the league. And they just haven't been that as of yet. For this team to reach the level it needs to get to, they need those two guys playing at their very possible best. Like, I got to tell them, I want to tell the team that there is no rule that says that when Tavares is playing incredible, that Matthews also can't play incredible. Because I don't know if they know this. It's like they're never playing amazing at the same time, it feels like. And if they did, they'd really have something. But It's not that they're playing bad. It's just they're not playing good enough. They're not playing at the standard that they've set for themselves, and they got to be better. And this isn't just Matthews not scoring on his chances. This is like Matthews not being a play driver like he usually is.
Yeah.
All over the puck and aggressive, and he could just be.
How many times have you seen? How many times have you seen him this year hunt a guy down and lift his stick and take the puck? Not as much as last year.
As much. I agree. Yeah.
For me, all I'm going to say about this, because we can do a whole episode on this, but for me to say this, it's just those small little details. And I look at the Vegas goal against OT. Just Marner does that big circle out, and sure enough, they find the gap and right through the middle. It's the little details, and that just tells me there is very little accountability there, that they can do whatever the hell they want. They know they're going right back out there at some point, and it bothers me. And a lot of that's on the Keefe, but it's just the mental game. And I a lot of people are not going to like what I'm going to say, but they'll probably agree with me. They will not win with Mitch Marner. They will not win with him in this lineup.
Wow.
His mentality, his approach. Is he skilled? Absolutely. Is he a fantastic hockey player? Yes, of course he is. But he's not a winner. I don't know how else to say it. For what this team needs and the leadership by example, it's just not there for me, man. And I'm
gonna clip that, Frankie. I'm gonna send it to Freezing Cold Takes just in the event.
That's fine. All I'm telling, it's just.
You hope you're wrong, right? You hope.
Of course, I hope I'm wrong, but we've seen more proof about what he can't do and what he fails to do versus what he can do. And I'm talking about low percentage passes, bobbling the puck when it doesn't have to. Don't blame the ice. Oh, give me a break. I've been reading on Twitter, the ice is bad. Oh, give me bullshit. The ice is fine.
Ice is bad for both teams.
It's stopping on pucks. It's just little things like that. If he's not going to pay attention to little details, they will not win with him in this lineup. And I really hope I'm wrong, but I'm ready to die on that hill.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to leave here on a positive note, but we're gonna leave it on that one. The Leafs upcoming week, they've got the Pens on the road on Tuesday. They come home against the mighty New Jersey Devils on Thursday, who have won 8 in a row. And I'm looking forward to that game because the Devils are a very fast team. So I want to see how the Leafs do against that speed. And then they're home against the Leaf Killers on Saturday, the Buffalo Sabres, who always, no matter how bad they are, tend to do well against the Leafs, and they're not that bad anymore.
Ilya Lyubushkin revenge game.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, he actually has
to find the prop bet for a Lyubushkin goal.
But he actually has to play because he's a healthy scratch. But, let's just sign him at $2 million.
Was he a healthy scratch for Buffalo? Wow, okay. Because all the talking radio heads said, what a miss that was, not re-signing Lyubushkin. Okay. Anyways, everyone, thanks again for tuning in. We really appreciate the support and the views. And, if you could hit that like button, that subscribe button, drop us a comment. We always read them. We like them. And we appreciate your time in listening to us. So, until next week, take care. Frankie, enjoy that sun. Bring some back with you.
Will do. See you, boys.